Sungwoo, Hanho, and Jisoo burst onto the rooftop, and what greeted them was nothing short of hell. Flames licked the sky, goblins swarmed like pests, and the ground was littered with mangled corpses. The stench of burning flesh and blood hung thick in the air. Sungwoo's eyes burned with fury. Hanho froze, his breath catching as he watched one of his own classmates being torn apart by a goblin. Beside him, Jisoo gripped her sword, rage surging through her veins, ready to tear through every last one of the monsters, but before she could charge, Sungwoo raised his hand. "Think before you act," his voice cut through the chaos. "We move with a plan." They crouched low behind cover as Sungwoo quickly assessed the battlefield. Once he laid out the strategy, he gave the signal. With silent nods, the three began to advance. As they moved, Sungwoo's thoughts raced. We must grow stronger, or we die. The goblins noticed them. Their shrill cries filled the air as they lunged forward. Hanho's panic surged. Once again, he pleaded, "Let's just run!" But Sungwoo didn't flinch. "No," he said firmly. "We stand our ground." With a quick command, Sungwoo ordered his skeleton minion forward. "Use it as a shield. Go for the kill." Then, his eyes flared red. He activated his berserk skill, his minion glowing with dark energy. The skeleton clashed into the horde, and Sungwoo charged in, spear stabbing with brutal precision. Beside him, Jisoo danced with death, slashing through goblins like a storm of steel. Hanho trembled. His grip on the knife was weak, his eyes full of tears. Regret clawed at his heart. "Why did I pick this card?" he thought, and then in sheer panic, he hurled his knife, a perfect throw. The blade embedded itself into a goblin's skull. A clean, instant kill. For a moment, everything stopped. Then Hanho's eyes widened. "Throwing? I've always been good at that." Confidence surged through him. He grabbed more knives, and with a wild cry began launching them one after the other. Each throw found its mark. Together, the three of them began turning the tide. But there was more at play. The goblins, sensitive to the scent of death, were weakened. Their stats dropped by 30% just from facing a necromancer. They shrieked, scrambled, and fell one by one, slaughtered like chickens. And then the air shifted. A monstrous roar shattered the rooftop. From the shadows emerged their nightmare, the goblin captain. The lesser goblins immediately fell to their knees, bowing before their leader. And just like that, their morale surged. With a guttural snarl, the captain tore through Sungwoo's minions. Each swing of its weapon was devastating. Sungwoo gritted his teeth. His mana pool was draining fast. If this kept up, he'd be defenseless. Hanho tried to intervene, but his blade bounced off the monster's hide. The goblin captain turned on him, enraged, and began to chase him down. Sungwoo's last skeleton leapt in to block the attack, buying Hanho precious seconds. The monster swung again. One of the minions managed to stab its foot, but the retaliation was swift. The minion was kicked aside like trash. Jisoo charged in at lightning speed, her blade slicing across the beast's side, but the damage was superficial. Together, she and Sungwoo began moving in sync, searching for an opening. And then, Sungwoo found it. He lunged. The captain evaded, but Sungwoo's spear still pierced its ear. Blood sprayed, a near hit, but his mana was gone. Only one minion remained. The goblin captain looked at him and grinned, an evil, mocking smile. He pointed, as if to say, "Is that all you've got?" Then it roared and began its rampage. Sungwoo's heart pounded. At this rate, we're all going to die. But then, he spotted it. A sword, just within reach. He narrowed his eyes. His mind sharpened. One clean hit. That's all I need. He lunged for it, planning the perfect strike that could end it all. Sungwoo seized the fallen sword from the ground, its blade glinting in the firelight. Without hesitation, he commanded his two remaining goblin skeletons to charge. One was instantly crushed by the goblin captain's massive swing, but the other leapt. As the minion soared through the air toward the towering monster, Sungwoo hurled the sword. Time seemed to slow. The weapon spun, slicing through the smoky air, and the skeleton caught it mid-flight. A sharp chime echoed through the battlefield. A glowing message flashed before Sungwoo's eyes. Weapon synergy activated. Attack speed plus on 10%. Weapon weight 50%. For all sword wielders in the party. Then another message. Unique synergy condition met. Lone blade. If only one minion remains and is wielding a sword, the first strike has an 88% chance to inflict bleeding. Sungwoo's heart pounded. This might be our chance. Without missing a beat, he lifted a broken table and hurled it toward the goblin captain to stagger it. At the same moment, Jisoo and the skeleton leapt forward, flanking from opposite sides. Surrounded and bombarded, the goblin captain faltered. Its yellow eyes darted, unable to focus. Panic overtook its monstrous face. Then came Hanho, his confidence reborn. With deadly aim, he launched a knife straight into the monster's hand, piercing the tendons. The captain howled in pain, disoriented and wide open. Sungwoo saw it. Now, or never. He looked at his lone minion, his faithful companion since the beginning. Thank you. For everything. He gave the silent command. The skeleton charged. It soared through the flames and smoke like a grim angel of death. Its sword glinted once and struck true. Straight through the goblin captain's neck. A spray of black blood burst into the air. The monster's head flew, spinning, and landed with a sickening thud. Silence. Boss monster defeated. Goblin captain. Plus 255 gold coins, level up. Sungwoo, level 3. Sungwoo stood frozen. He hadn't expected a clean kill, not like that. Behind him, Hanho broke the silence, staring at the crumbling skeleton. What was that minion, really? What kind of monster was it before it died? Sungwoo glanced at the bones, still glowing faintly. I'm not sure. I think it was just a common goblin. Suddenly, the skeleton's bones began to crackle with energy. A new notification window appeared before them all. Your goblin skeleton has absorbed the goblin captain's mana. Class upgrade, elite goblin skeleton achieved. A tattoo-like marking burned itself onto the skeleton's skull, radiating dark power. Sungwoo stared, stunned. An ordinary goblin skeleton, now reborn with commander-class potential. This changes everything. With its newfound rank, new skills became available. Tactical awareness, leadership, and more. Sungwoo knew then he had to find more minions to place under this new elite commander. Hanho and Jisoo's levels increased as well. Each of them was rewarded for surviving the rooftop bloodbath. Sungwoo received a new Necromancer skill, the ability to forge weapons from bone, and an exclusive reward from completing the hidden quest, Grudge of the Dead, Professor. Where am I? Maximum number of controllable minions increased by 1. Hanho held up a dark, hooded item gleaming with light. Rogue's Hood acquired. Sungwoo raised an eyebrow. What does it do? Hanho grinned. Cuts monster detection by 50%. Sungwoo smirked. Good for running away, then. Hanho shook his head. No, I'm not running anymore. I finally know how to fight. Jisoo's reward was different, a firestone. If used to sharpen her blade, it would ignite her weapon in flame upon every strike. Let's test these later, Sungwoo said, surveying the smoldering battlefield. We need to move. The trio made their way back down through the burning building, stepping over corpses and ash. When they finally returned to the cafe, silence fell. The sealed door, once thought impossible to open, swung wide with a creak. Sungwoo stepped through, it bloodied but victorious. Everyone inside turned, jaws slack. Jinsok stood there, wide-eyed and shaking. He looked utterly pathetic. And Sungwoo? He just kept walking.